بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay, let's continue. Last week we got up to ayah number 10, but I want to backtrack a little bit so we're consistent with the theme. If we can go to verse number 8. Okay, verse number 8. We said that Surah Al-Baqarah, it begins by talking about which group of people? The believers. And how many ayat did we say about the believers? 4, good. And then after that we talked about another group of people. Who were they? Before that? The disbelievers, yeah. And how many ayat? 2, very good. And then we went into the munafiqun, and how many ayat did we say there are for the hypocrites or the munafiqun?
14.
Yeah, 13. Right, so I did say 14, but it's 13. So 13 verses about the munafiqin, subhanAllah. When we also look at these ayat, it's important to understand, I'm going to give a bit of a introduction or background, that when we look at these ayat and we talk about the believers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He describes the believers, okay? And the believers themselves are on different levels. So not all the believers are the same. Example, the believers in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, like Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, their iman is much different than the iman of maybe the best of believers today. So even the believers, they vary in their faith, their connection, their iman. The same thing with the disbelievers. The disbelievers are not all the same. The disbelievers also vary. So you have those like Fir'aun. No one is going to excel Fir'aun in his kufr and in his tughyan and in his evil. He's reached a point that I don't think anyone is going to reach. Allah has made that clear in the Quran. Furthermore, others like Abu Lahab, a whole surah on the cursing or the story of Abu Lahab. Okay, so the disbelievers today, they may not reach that level as well. There's no ayah that's going to come down. So the believers and disbelievers, they are on different levels. Likewise, the munafiqun. And this is an ayah that we're going to look at today. The munafiqun are also on different levels. During the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the nifaq was much greater because the Prophet was alive, alayhi salatu wassalam. The Quran was being revealed. Everything was evident. It was clear in front of them. So those who were munafiq at that time, their hypocrisy is much different to the hypocrisy of today. Much stronger or much more apparent hypocrisy. Not just that, but also some of the hypocrites are well known and some of them we don't know. We only know them by their traits. Amongst those who are known, the leader of the munafiqun, we mentioned his name last week as well. What's his name? Who remembers? The leader of the hypocrites in Medina.
Ibn Salul.
Yeah, Abdullah ibn Salul. He was the leader of the hypocrites. Abdullah ibn Salul, before I talk about him, one of the wisdoms that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout the Quran, He keeps the names of the munafiqun hidden, the hypocrites. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you read throughout his hadith, various narrations, he keeps the names of the hypocrites hidden. Why? There's a great wisdom in that. We can learn from this the fact that we are not in a position, even if we see somebody who we think or fits all the traits of a hypocrite, we are in no position to pinpoint or finger and say, this person is definitely munafiq. You cannot say that. We are not in a position to do that. Allah never specified anyone as a munafiq. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never specified anyone as a munafiq. You can say or feel or think that this person, he has all the sifat of a munafiq, but you cannot point and say, oh yeah, my uncle, whenever he gets angry, he starts swearing, so he's definitely a munafiq. You can't pinpoint or say anyone, because that was something that was one of the secrets. Allah never exposed them by name in the Quran or in the Sunnah. So this is one of the wisdoms of why it was kept secret. The names were kept secret. Abdullah ibn Salul, this Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, let's have a look at him. Why was he the leader of the munafiqin? So if you want to make that your title for now, because it's important to understand the backdrop. Okay, so Abdullah ibn Salul. Salul. Yeah. Now, why was he, because it's very interesting to think, why would someone be a hypocrite? Or why would someone be so much against the Prophet ﷺ, Allah and His message? And it's all there. Why would someone do that? So it's intriguing to understand the background. Now, Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, he was from amongst the Khazraj. There was two tribes in Medina, Al-Aus wal Khazraj. And if you look at Medina, there was 12 provinces or 12 different areas inside Medina. 4 of them were governed by Al-Aus and 8 of them were by Al-Khazraj. Okay? And Abdullah ibn Salul was the governor of Al-Khazraj. Okay? He was the ruler of the 8, whereas the Aus, the 4, they had a different ruler. The people of Medina, prior to the coming of Prophet ﷺ, had agreed that they wanted to change the dynamics of Medina, hence call it Yathrib. Okay, another name for Medina is Yathrib. They call it Yathrib, but they wanted to make it into a kingdom. They wanted to bring Al-Aus or Al-Khazraj together and have one ruler for the whole of Yathrib. And naturally, because Abdullah ibn Ubay, he was the governor of 8 provinces, they had elected or selected him to be the governor of the whole of Yathrib. Okay, so you can imagine that here's a man who's ruling Al-Khazraj, and soon he's going to be the leader of the whole of Yathrib. And he was elected and selected, and people had chosen him to lead. Had chosen him to lead the whole of Yathrib. Now, it is said that days before he was actually, the official ceremony was given for him to rule over Medina. Just days before, the Prophet ﷺ made the famous hijrah and came to Medina. So imagine now someone has done their political campaign, they've done everything they want, they're going to rule the state, and just days before they sit on the throne and they start dictating and start telling people what to do, somebody comes along and dethrones that person. Not just dethrones him, but he becomes the leader of Medina, and he has to be subservient to this person. So that's why Abdullah ibn Salul, he found it very difficult to absorb that fact that he was removed from that position. The second thing was that Abdullah ibn Salul, he thought to himself, now he has a choice. Either he can resist the Prophet ﷺ, and that's not very likely because the majority of people who were with Rasulullah ﷺ, or he can join them. So you know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them. So he couldn't beat them, so he joined them. And that's why he didn't like Islam, he didn't want Islam, but he joined them. And why did he join them? Number one, he had no other choice. And number two, because he thought he could be number 2 to the Prophet ﷺ. That if anything was to happen to Rasulullah ﷺ, who would take over? He thought it would be him. But yet what he didn't know was there was other people from amongst the Muhajirin, amongst the people who came with the Prophet ﷺ, who had sacrificed much more greater than he can even imagine to sacrifice. So there was people already who had taken place number 2, 3, 4 and 5. All of those who came from Mecca with the Prophet ﷺ, they have a special place in the sight of Rasulullah, in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hence, after the Prophet ﷺ passed away, the next one to rule was Abu Bakr, from amongst his companions. But he thought that he was in a position where he can be the, what we call the vice president, or take position. So he joined them, and that was the reason for his hypocrisy. Just on a side note, does anybody know if when Abdullah ibn Salul passed away, this is a side point, did the Prophet ﷺ pray his janazah or not?
Did.
Some say he did. Anyone else?
Yeah.
He did? I'm not sure. He's the peak of munafiqeen.
They did.
But because as you just said, that nobody can judge you. So I believe.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, his janazah was read.
Okay. In this case, Abdullah ibn Salul, his son, who was a great companion, he was a great Sahabi. He requested at the moment of his death that they needed a coffin. They needed a cloth to bury Abdullah ibn Salul, and the Prophet ﷺ was there at that time. So they requested for his qamis, his garment. So the Prophet ﷺ took off his qamis, and they used that qamis to wrap up the body of Abdullah ibn Salul. And not just that, but then they went to lead the janazah, to lead the prayer. As they were about to pray, Umar ibn Khattab, he came from a distance, and as he was coming, he was worried. He said, Ya Rasulullah. I said, yes. And he goes, are you going to pray over the biggest of munafiqeen? And then the Prophet ﷺ, on that response, he said, Allah khayyarni, Allah gave me a choice. I can pray for him, or I cannot pray for him. And he said, I chose to pray for him. And the evidence for that is in Surah Tawbah, verse number 80, if anybody wants to write that down. Verse number 80. So he said, استغفر لهم أو لا تستغفر لهم إن تستغفر لهم 70 مرة فلن يغفر الله لهم. that if you can make istighfar for him, or you don't have to make istighfar for him. Even if you did it 70 times, فَلَنْ يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَهُمْ, that Allah is not going to forgive him, but you can make istighfar if you are. So the Prophet ﷺ, out of his mercy, he did do the prayer, and he prayed for Abdullah ibn Salul. But soon after that happened, subhanAllah, verse number 84 in Surah Tawbah as well, if you want to write down the evidence for that, verse number 84. Then the command came down, وَلَا تُصَلِّ عَلَىٰ أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ مَاتَ أَبَدًا وَلَا تَقُمْ عَلَىٰ قَبْرِهِ إِنَّهُمْ كَفَرُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَمَاتُوا وَهُمْ فَاسِقُونَ. Then the command came down that you are not allowed to pray amongst the munafiqun. Okay, that Allah said, وَلَا تُصَلِّ, do not pray amongst them. So subhanAllah, we learned two things from them. Number one, the rahmah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that even though he knew he was munafiq, he still wanted some hope for him. And the second thing we learned is that Umar ibn al-Khattab, he had foresight, that he knew what was coming, and he saw the danger that we shouldn't pray amongst these people, let them know that he's munafiq. And also clearly Abdullah ibn Salul was known to be a munafiq and a kafir, okay, because the hypocrites are just another branch of hypocrisy, because Allah said innahum kafaru billahi wa rasulih. Okay, so that's the backdrop to Abdullah ibn Salul. Okay, let's continue. Now the munafiqun, there are of two types. There are of two types in Medina. The ayah that we're going to look at in verse number 8, I'm going to come to it, says وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, okay, from amongst the people. So this is broader than saying وَمِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, or saying وَمِنَ أَصْحَابِ الْمَدِينَ. No, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, from all people. So the hypocrites are of two types. Number one, it was dealing, these ayat we're going to look at are dealing with the chief heads of the munafiqeen, like Abdullah ibn Salul, which is dealt with. The other type, we're going to look at the Muslims those who had embraced Islam, but yet the iman was deficient. What do we mean the iman was deficient? So many people on the coming of Prophet ﷺ, they accepted Islam. Okay, they embraced Islam. They looked at the message. They saw the community. They saw what Islam was, and they accepted Islam. But what they didn't fully understand was that becoming Muslim, it's not just a good feeling or just enjoying the pleasure of Islam. It comes with responsibilities, and it comes with things that you might feel uncomfortable with. So it's like today, for example, if somebody becomes a Muslim, they have some changes in their life. Like what changes will people make? If somebody embraces Islam, they will do what? Like what kind of changes will they make in their life?
Appearance.
Maybe their appearance. What else? Yeah?
What they eat.
Yeah, exactly. So they will maybe stop eating pig and go for halal options. What else will they change?
Practice.
Speech, yeah, maybe talk a little bit different. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, alcohol, give up alcohol. Yeah.
Learn things to go to like courses and things.
Yeah, so start learning or stop praying. Adam?
Schedule, so I won't have to pray.
Do it till they stop praying. So most people, when they embrace Islam, these elements of Islam, which are very important, those are the immediate changes that affect a person's life. And that's very easy to do now. But when the Muslims at that time, they embraced Islam, Islam was much greater than that. Because what did they have? They had opponents. They were a movement. They were on a mission to do something. So if you embraced Islam at that time, it meant what? You have responsibilities. And what happened in the second year of the Hijrah? Badr. So what happened now? Oh no, we have to fight. I said, we didn't sign up for this. I just wanted to eat some halal food, have some nice organic food. I don't mind sacrificing my fajr, I'll wake up for. They didn't understand the full package. So the full package was a lot more greater than that. Not just the jihad of fighting, but also the fact that people are coming, they want to kill you. The people of Mecca were planning to come over to Medina and they're making sacrifices. Not just the jihad, but the issue of a sadaqah. Now Allah's messenger is asking for money. We don't want to give money. I don't mind praying. I don't mind doing my this and that. But now you're asking me to fight and you want my money? This is a bit too much. I didn't sign up for this. But that was the message that was given. And this is something we can draw upon ourselves as well. That Islam, yeah, the rituals are important. We don't deny that. And the elements of the other reading Quran and praying 5 times, these are very important, but they're a greater message to Islam, which means there's a lot of work to do. So when you sign up to this faith, you've got work to do. It's not as easy as just doing the easy parts, So they had to obey the Prophet ﷺ, and they had some resistance to the obedience of Prophet. Complete obedience to the Prophet ﷺ was a problem for them, and this was an issue of nifaq, because the Prophet was instructing them to do things and they were resistant, or they were really not pulling their weight. So these were the two types of munafiqeen which we're going to address in the ayat. With the first type is the clear cut, like Abdullah ibn Sulul, and then the second type were those who believed but they were hesitant and they weren't fully obeying the commands of the Prophet. So the warning came. Now the other group of people are the Jews. Come in. There's a chair over there. And there's one there. Okay, so there's one at the front. All right, so the other group of people, we said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, there is another group of people. We said that we talked about those who had embraced Islam, so the munafiqeen. Another group was the Jews. And this is important to talk about. We spoke about how they came, the Yahud, the Jews of Medina, how some of them accepted Islam and some of them rejected the message of Islam. Now I want you to imagine that the Yahud of Medina, we said they were very learned. They understood the scripture, they understood what was coming. So they were waiting for this prophet to come. And you can imagine in any society where you have religious people, call them religious in quotations, that what do? People come to them for fatwas. They give the khutbahs, they give sermons, they give religious advice. So what do they have? They have a following. Okay, they have a big following. People are coming to them, people are respecting them in the communities. So the Jews at that time were also in the same position, very well learned. Everybody will come to them and seek for them their advice. Now, if these leaders of the Yahud, if they embrace Islam, what does that do to their career or their scholarship? They lose their status. From becoming ruhban, of becoming big scholars in Judaism, if they embrace Islam, they will become students of who? The Prophet ﷺ. So from becoming a big influential person in society, you'll be reduced to just a student. That's not easy to take. Let alone for the Jews, even in our communities, if you try to remove an imam from his position, you'll find out the meaning of what they said. Yeah, it's not easy for someone who spent time on the minbar to come down and now start listening instead of giving. So you can see the same thing. They resisted to this, and they were not happy with this fact. And what's very interesting to know is that scholarship or ulama, their role is to influence people, and they should be doing fi sabilillah, influencing people in the direction of Allah. Which other group of people spend a lot of time influencing people's minds and their decisions and their way of life? What other profession out there? Very good, politicians. Yeah, that's why you find that ulama and politicians, they're brothers. Okay, they have a very similar role. Politicians and scholars. Okay, they have a very influential role. They both influence people. If it's done for the right causes, it's all good and well. If it's not, you can see how they can mislead people. So they didn't want to lose their academic position as scholars and also their political position in society. Okay. All right. So if you have resistance, okay, if, for example, in an alim or let's say a politician, he's got resistance in his community. He knows there's someone popping up and he's going to take his masjid. You know, they say he's going to take over my masjid, or he's going to take over his country. Okay. So naturally, the person will start to try to outperform the other person or other candidates, so people will recognize him. But sometimes your product could be really good, but you might not win. So people resort to doing what? If you're in the market and you got two companies competing, so they obviously want to outdo the other one, but they also want to destroy the other one as well. Yeah, if they can't compete, sorry? Put offers out, or the fact that if you, they want to remove them from the market. Okay, because then if they remove them from the market, only their product will be there for sale. So the ruhban, the Jewish elders, they knew they can't compete with him. So then they started to do what? Plot and plan on his death. They wanted to remove him from the society. I'm giving you the background in a nutshell, so I hope you're taking notes. Okay, so those were the first type of Jews. The second type of Jews were the common Jews. They weren't ulama, common Jews. Now, imagine the common Jew, sincere Yehudi. He was listening to the Rabbaniyun, the scholars amongst them on minbars, the khutbahs, and in the khutbahs they've been saying that the Prophet is going to come, a new Prophet is going to come. This is what he is going to be like. His characteristics are like this. They knew everything and they taught the people. So when the Prophet ﷺ came and the common Jew, he saw the Prophet ﷺ and saw all the characteristics inside the Prophet ﷺ, they ran back to their rabbis. And they said to their rabbis that it's him. If we found him, it's him. He is the one that you've been talking to us about. Then the rabbis, they realized this is very dangerous. So what did they say to them? They said to them that don't accept his message. If you accept his message, he's going to start telling you to give him your money. He's going to start asking you to fight jihad fi sabilillah. He's going to cause you problems. So they said just don't listen to his message, but just listen to what he's got to say. And this was also another form of nifaq for the Jews amongst themselves, even with their own deen. So this is also going to be addressed in what's coming up.
Is it because they didn't expect him to be an Arab?
That's right. Okay, that's one of the reasons. Not just the fact that he was an Arab, okay, and they were Bani Israel. The other fact was that the Prophet ﷺ was coming with poor people. They were not so wealthy. Some of them wealthy, but generally speaking, the Muslims, those who were following the Prophet ﷺ, were poor, and these people were the elite of society. And how many times did we find where people would say, "You're going to follow these poor people"? Imagine like the leader, a nation state, and a group of people coming up from the desert and saying, "We're on the truth." How would the leader of a nation respond? So they found it difficult to accept the fact that these were Bedouins, and they're coming over and telling us what's right and what's wrong. All right, very good. If we go now back to verse number 8. Okay, so you've got the background. Verse number 8, this is where the description of the munafiqun really begins. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens up with وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, and from amongst the people. And from amongst the people. مَنْ يَقُولُ, from amongst the people there are those يَقُولُ who say آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ, that we believe in Allah, وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, and we believe in the last day, وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ, and they are not believers. Okay? Come in, Musa. There's space, there is chairs. Ladies have got chairs, but the men have got no. Come in. If you can just leave that there. You can, there's a chair outside. Okay, so وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, and from amongst the people there are those who say we believe in Allah and His Yawm al-Akhir, وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ, but they are not believers. Okay. مَنْ يَقُولُ, if we look at from an Arabic perspective, يَقُولُ, is that mufrad or is that jam? Is that singular or is that plural? Singular. That's singular, right? He says. Okay. And then it says آمَنَّا. So he says آمَنَّا. Is that singular or is that plural? Plural. That's plural. So he says, we believe. So it is, one is singular and one is plural. Why is that the case? Number one, the reason to why the yaqulu is in the present tense is because yadullu ala al-istimrar, meaning that these people continually, they would keep saying, we believe, we believe, we believe. Now, for example, if you believe in something, you believe in Islam, and say the Prophet is alive, would you need to continually go up to the Prophet and say, I believe? Every time you say, don't worry, I believe, I believe.
No.
Right? Why would someone keep saying, I believe to the Prophet? What are you trying to show?
That they are really believers, but they're not really.
The fact that you're trying to prove to the Prophet that you believe by continually saying, if you believe, it's evident, it's clear, you don't need to say it.
By practice,
Yeah, so they keep saying, we believe, okay? So by saying that, they're showing they've got a guilty conscience. It's like a child. If a child has done something wrong, they'll say, no, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. Keep reiterating, it wasn't, just trying to show you that it was them, okay? So here again, they're saying, يَقُولُ آمَنَّا. They kept coming to the Prophet ﷺ and they kept saying, yes, we actually do believe. آمَنَّا. Okay. Then says, يَقُولُ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. Now why is the آمَنَّا plural? Because they would say that the hypocrite would approach the Prophet ﷺ and he would say, I believe, but he would say, آمَنَّا, that we believe, trying to show that he's part of the community, he's part of the believers. So a singular munafiq would go to the Prophet and say, I believe, or we believe, showing that he's part of the Muslim community. Okay? آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. What's interesting to note here as well, in Arabic, is billah, that we believe in Allah, and there's no need for another bi. So bil yawm al-akhir. You can just say billahi wal yawm al-akhir. You don't need the bi. But the second B is again to show that they're really trying to show the Prophet that we believe not just Allah, but we also believe in the hereafter. Okay, they're trying to persuade the Prophet, okay, or influence him. And bil yawm al-akhir. وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. But they are not believers. Now there are many ways in Arabic in which way you can negate something. You can say laysu mu'minin. You can say ma hum mu'minin. But here this is really the strongest way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala condemning them by saying wama, which is a negation, hum bimu'minin. The ba here is what they call a harf jar za'id. It's an additional preposition to show further emphasis that it's not just Allah saying they didn't believe, but they really did not believe. In respect of how often they came to the Prophet and said we believe, the B here reiterates the tawqeed, that they for sure, certainly they did not believe in the message. Ibn Ashur, one great mufassir, he also makes mentions that subhanAllah, these munafiqeen, even though they wanted to convince the Prophet that they're believers and they keep coming to him saying we believe, what are the two items or two things they tried to persuade the Prophet with to show that they believe? It's in the ayah. What are the two things? They say we believe in? No, they didn't say that. Billah and Akhir. But what didn't they say? The Prophet. Ibn Ashur, he says in his Tafseer, this really showed their hatred to the Prophet. Because they could have said we believe in the Prophet, but they couldn't get round to it. Even in their nifaq, they couldn't say we believe in the Prophet. So even then they said we believe in Allah and we believe in the last day, but they couldn't come to terms with saying we believe in the Prophet. Even that, they kept that aside. Okay? Ibn Ashur, he makes mention of that in his Tafseer. Okay, so if we continue to verse number 9, yeah. Okay. Okay, where's verse number 9? يخادعون الله والذين آمنوا وما يخدعون إلا أنفسهم وما يشعرون. So in this verse, يخادعون الله. They think they can trick, they think they can deceive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And this is the important point, that they think they can deceive Allah and they think they can deceive who? Those who believe. And who were the people who believed at that time? The Sahaba. Okay, so they thought they could even deceive the Sahaba. Okay, they thought that they had the ability to deceive Allah and to deceive the Sahaba. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Okay, Iman. Just a side point here, many times in the Quran or in the Hadith we find the word Islam being used and the word Iman being used. Okay, if we find the meaning of Islam is referring to the physical actions that we do. Okay, so Islam equals the actual physical actions that we do, like the prayer, like the giving of zakat, like the hajj, the physical actions. When we hear the word Iman, Iman is referring to the internal components, the state of your heart. Okay, the state of your heart. So in the Quran, whenever you find the word Islam, it's referring to the actions. If you find the word Iman, it's referring to the internal state, your heart. But if you find the word Islam by itself, it means both. If you find the word Iman by itself, it means both. If you find them together in a hadith or ayah, then the Islam is referring to the physical actions and the Iman is referring to the state of the heart. Okay? So, if they come alone, they mean both meanings. If they come separate, they mean they're separate. If they come together, they mean they're separate meanings. Okay? Okay. Here, in this case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to the Iman, referring to the state of the heart. And when we look at Islam, if a person says he believes physical actions, there is only a person who believes in Islam or a person who doesn't believe in Islam. There is no in between. You can't be in between when it comes to your Islam. But when it comes to your Iman, which is the state of your heart, that can go up and down. So Iman, it increases and it decreases. So now we're in the blessed 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, and inshallah we're all doing extra good deeds. And if you're doing those extra good deeds, your Iman should increase or decrease? Increase. Okay? And if you do evil deeds, bad deeds, your Iman will decrease. Okay? This is a beautiful concept to understand, that your heart will never remain stagnant. Yeah, write that down. Your heart will never remain stagnant. Your heart is either going up or it's going down. It cannot be stagnant. That's why we're always encouraged to do actions, because as long as we're engaged in good, our heart or our Iman is going up. The minute we stop doing those good, we will start to go down. And if you start doing too much evil, your Iman will go so down, it will be on the brink of nifaq. Because you're still doing your prayers because you have to, because mum forced you out of bed, because mum said get up and pray. Yeah, you're still doing that, but your heart really is dead. You don't want to be on that prayer mat. So that's what happens when the actions are minimized. So we always engage in actions, and the Prophet ﷺ said that the best of actions are those that be they're small but they're regular. No one is telling you to do a big act. They're just small but consistent acts. You will see your Iman growing and growing. It's like a plant. The fruits on the plant don't come overnight. Sometimes it takes years. The olive tree, it takes years for the olive to come. But when it comes, it's so sweet. So you have to understand that we consistently do actions, even if they're small, we are going upwards. But the minute you leave the actions, you're on the brink, on the dangers of nifaq. Okay, so يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Sorry, I just want to say also, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, الْإِيمَانُ بِضْعَ وَسَبْعُونَ شُعْبَةً. That Iman is over 70 different branches. فَأَفْضَلُهَا قَوْلُ لَا إِلَهِ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. And the Prophet ﷺ said, the best or the pinnacle of your Iman is the statement of La ilaha illallah, which is the declaration of Tawheed. Where he said, أَدْنَاهَا إِمَاتَةُ الْأَذَى عَنِ الطَّرِيقِ. And he said the lowest of them, or the 73rd branch, is to remove some other, some litter from the street so that no one is harmed. Okay, so subhanAllah, even picking up a wrapper, or picking up a banana peel or something off the floor with the intention that this is going to please Allah, this is part of your Iman. Okay, so imagine you clean up or you do something, pick up something from the street, your Iman is increasing. So how easy it is really for us to constantly keep our Iman going up. Okay, it takes effort for it to go down. Alright, يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُمْ وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ. And these people, they are only fooling themselves, وَمَا إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُمْ, themselves, وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ. And they do not feel or understand or know what exactly it is that they are doing. Okay. Verse number 10. في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا ولهم عذاب أليم بما كانوا يكذبون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here, he tells us, في قلوبهم مرض. Inside of their hearts is a marad, is a disease. And that disease is the disease of hypocrisy, which is, what is hypocrisy really? It is doubt. So make a note of that. It is shak. The doubt is what brings about hypocrisy. Is it really, am I really going to die? Am I really going to go Jannah? Is there really Allah? These doubts that shaitan comes to our minds with. Okay? And desires. Yeah, our hearts want. I remember we did the hadith in Arba'in an-Nawawiyah, those who were with us for past year or so, that the Prophet ﷺ once he drew a line on the ground. You remember that? He drew a line on the ground and he said, this is the man, his life. This is what he thinks, how he's going to live. And then on this line, he drew little lines coming off it. He said, this is the man's ambitions. These are his goals. And he's got a long line with lots of branches coming off it, thinking he's going to achieve this, then he's going to buy this, then he's going to go here, then he's going to marry this, then he's going to do... He's got so many ambitions. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he came and he put a circle around just like the first third or the first quarter. And he said, that's the reality of his life. That's all he's really going to do. It doesn't mean that we don't have goals and ambitions. Of course we do. But what it means is that we think far ahead. Our desires take us really, really far away, where the reality is much shorter than that. So, في قلوبهم مرض, that inside of their hearts is a disease. The disease is doubt and desires. فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا. And this disease of doubt and desires, فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ. Then Allah gives them respite, gives them more time. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows them to continue in what they're doing. فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْذِبُونَ. So Allah gave them respite, or gave them more time in that which they yakdhibun, in that which they used to lie. Okay. We said there was a companion who knew the names of 14 of the hypocrites. What was his name? The Prophet ﷺ told, Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman. Okay, Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman. The Prophet ﷺ told him the names of 14 of the hypocrites and told him not to tell anyone. Okay, so he knew the names and he never revealed that to anyone. And as we said last week as well, that Umar ibn al-Khattab, he would come to Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman constantly and ask him, he would say, is my name on that list? Did he make mention of my name? Okay. Verse number 11. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُصْلِحُونَ. That وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ, if it's said to the hypocrites, لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ, don't do fasad on this earth. And what is fasad? Corruption, killing, yeah. The head of all fasad is kufr. Yeah, the head of all corruption is kufr, because kufr means obedience to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's number one. That's the first type of fasad you can do. Number two is, like we just had, is al-ma'asi, doing sins. Okay? Killing people, ruling unjustly, whatever it is. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ, and don't spread mischief and kufr and fasad on the earth. قالوا, they said, إنما نحن مصلحون. They said, verily, إنما is another way of doing uslub al-hasr, where you can find. They said, verily, only نحن مصلحون. Verily, we are the only ones who are the ones doing islah. Islah means we are correcting or rectifying the problems, which means they are real believers. They are the ones who are doing the good deeds. Now, why do you think these people, the munafiqun, they need to say إنما نحن مصلحون, that only we are the real believers? Who are they differentiating themselves from? The Sahaba. Okay, the Sahaba, they're trying to show we're better than them. Yeah, because they want vice presidency. Yeah, they're looking for the next positions. So they're showing them that they're good, but look at us, we're better. Okay. قالوا إنما نحن مصلحون. Okay. ألا إنهم هم المفسدون ولكن لا يشعرون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, verily they are the ones, إنهم, they are the ones who are mufsidun, they are the ones who really are causing the mischief, causing the problems, ولكن لا يشعرون, but they do not know. And this answers the question that a sister asked last week about the hypocrites. Do they know they're hypocrites? And we said there are two types. There are those who know, like Abdullah ibn Salul and so on and so forth. They know they're hypocrites. But there are some, وَلَكِنْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. Some of them actually thought, they were so convinced with their lies, they actually thought that they were the only real believers. Okay. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ آمَنُوا كَمَا آمَنَ النَّاسُ قَالُوا أَنُؤْمِنُ كَمَا آمَنَ السُّفَهَاءُ أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ السُّفَهَاءُ وَلَكِنْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Here in this ayah, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ, and then it said to them, okay, لَهُمْ آمِنُوا, believe, okay, have real iman in your hearts, كَمَا آمَنَ النَّاسِ, the way the people have believed. Again, who is an-nas in this ayah? So this being said to them, believe as the people have believed. Who are those people? Again, the Sahaba. So look how much importance, emphasis has been put on the honor and the dignity and the iman of the Sahaba. Okay, they are the ones who lived up to Prophet ﷺ's teachings. So we have to venerate and honor them. So وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ آمِنُوا كَمَا آمَنَ النَّاسِ, so believe in the way that the Sahaba believed. قالوا, they said, أَنُؤْمِنُ كَمَا آمَنَ السُّفَهَاءُ. Do you want us to believe like the way the sufaha, the foolish, or you can even say stupid, how these people have believed? Why did they call them foolish? They said these people, they left Mecca, they left all their wealth, they're wearing just one garment, they were walking on with no shoes. We don't want to be like that. Look at us the way we are. I mean, this is what they were thinking in their head. They didn't say this with their tongues. But they live in the elite of Medina. They're wealthy, they're noble, they're respected. When they walk down the street, they say, I'm just saying in modern day language, Haji Sahib, Morana Sahib. Okay? That's how they were referred to. But now they're saying what you want us to believe, and then we're going to be like these people, sitting on the floor, talking like this, behaving, dressing like this. You want us to be like that? So they said, قَالُوا أَنُؤْمِنُ كَمَا آمَنَ السُّفَهَاءُ. And then Allah responds, أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ السُّفَهَاءُ. Verily, the foolish people are these people who are speaking, not the Sahaba. ألا إنهم هم السفهاء ولكن لا يعلمون. But they have no understanding. They do not know what they're talking about. I want you to also understand and comprehend something, that in those times tribalism was rife. Okay, they had a tribal system. So even amongst themselves, they had those that were better than the others. They had slaves. Okay, so the slaves, the slaves would not be able to sit or come near where the master would sit. They were racist people. Yeah. So this is the society in which they lived. Now, can you imagine someone like Abdullah ibn Ubay, who was about to be a king and he's got his ministry around him? Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the Prophet is telling them to all become brothers. So now imagine this guy who's a king, who's racist, tribalist, everything. He's in prayer, and next to him, I'm just saying this in context, so next to him is Bilal. He's very uncomfortable. He does not like it. He's very, and the others, they would say the same thing. This guy was a slave, and now he's standing next to me. This guy's a slave, and he's going to lead me in prayer. This guy was poor, and now he's telling me that I have to give sadaqah. It was too difficult for them. Their hearts couldn't handle it. So here, قال آمن الناس قالوا أنؤمن كما آمن السفهاء, that are we going to believe as the way these foolish people believed? ألا إنهم هم السفهاء ولكن لا يعلمون. Verily, the foolish people are these people, and they do not truly understand. Okay. وإذا لقوا الذين آمنوا قالوا آمنا وإذا خلوا إلى شياطينهم قالوا إن معكم إنما نحن مستهزئون الله يستهزئ بهم ويمدهم في طغيانهم يعمهون. So وإذا لقوا الذين, so when these people they would meet the believers, so the munafiq, whenever they would meet the believers, قالوا, they would continue to say to them, آمنا. We would say to them, we are with you. We are part of your community, we believe. وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ, and if they went back and they mixed with the, and Allah refers to them as shayateen. Many times when we think of shayateen, we think of the jinn, the spiritual world, shayateen. But what do we understand from this? Shayateen al-ins wa shayateen al-jinn. That they are shayateen come in the jinn form, and they are shayateen that come in the human form. So don't be deceived by how good he or she looks. It could be a walking shaitan. So here, we know that the shaitan can be from amongst people as well as jinn. So Allah tells us, وَإِذَا لُقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, if they meet the believers, they always, we say we believe. And how many times we find people that, when they're mixing with religious people, they're always talking about religious matters. And somehow they always manage to find the most controversial matters you can find. And say, what's your opinion on this? What do you do in this situation? And then when they're alone, you find them in places that you wouldn't see even the worst of people doing such and such. That's the hypocrisy. So when they're with the believers, you think they are righteous, and when they're amongst their own folk, they're shayateen, as Allah said, that you will see the evil truly come out. قَالُوا إِنَّ مَعَكُمْ, that verily we are with you, إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُسْتَهْزِئُونَ, that they will say to their shayateen that really, in reality, we are with you. We like what you do. We prefer your lifestyle. إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُسْتَهْزِئُونَ, and we're just taking fun out of these people. We're just making fun of them. When we're with them, we just, say the religious elite, you can move them left, move them right. They have no understanding. They're too busy worshipping Allah. They don't know the reality of this life. So they said, we're just joking with them, messing around. Allahu yastahzi'u bihim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, their recompense will be that Allah yastahzi, Allah will mock them. Bihim wa yamudduhum, and He will extend for them fi tughyanihim. Tughyan means to break the limits, to transgress limits. So Allah says He will leave them fi tughyan. They have transgressed the limits. Okay? And He will leave them ya'mahun, in the deviation to wander blindly. This is another important principle we find in the Sharia. Al-jaza'u min jinsil amal. That you'll be rewarded or you'll be punished according to what you did. So the sin that these people have committed was al-istihza, making fun of the Prophet ﷺ, and not just him, but those who believed. So their punishment is also going to be the fact that Allah will make fun of you. Okay? So the fact that this is the crime you did, so your reward or your punishment will be from the same act that you did. So here, so the mustahzi'un is mentioned in a negative way, that they are making fun of Allah and His believers. But then in the second ayah, Allah yastahzi'u bihim. In this case, it's not negative, it's positive. Okay, it's positive in this case, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching them a lesson. Okay. So is that in ayah number 16? Are we on ayah number 16?
Yeah.
Okay. آية number 16 أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى فما ربحت تجارتهم وما كانوا مهتدين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says here that أولئك, now these people, who are they? All these descriptions find, these are the people الذين اشتروا الضلالة, that they have purchased or bought misguidance بالهدى, at the expense of guidance. فما ربحت تجارتهم, and their business did not profit them anything. وما كانوا مهتدين, and they are not amongst the guided. Here, this is a little bit of rhetoric, balagha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He refers to ad-dalala as a sil'a, as an item. Okay? Because when you say ishtara, buy, when you buy something you can touch, you can hold. Okay? But dalala, can you hold it in your hand? Can you hold misguidance? You can't. So Allah is just drawing an example, because these people were businessmen, they understood that. And so Allah is saying, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ اشْتَرُوا, they purchased misguidance as if it was an item. And what did they pay in order to buy this misguidance? So if you buy an item today, you're going to pay with money, right? And they paid with the guidance. They sold their guidance and they bought misguidance. And this one example is amazing because it leaves you with no doubt. Okay, Allah draws it in such a way that the image is very clear. Okay, you took money out of your pocket and you paid it. You no longer have money, but yet you have the item that you bought. These people, they gave their iman, which left them with no iman, and in return they got dalal, they got complete misguidance. Okay, أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلال بالهدى فما ربحت تجارتهم, and Allah says their business, this transaction has no profit whatsoever. وما كانوا مهتدين, and they have no guidance. Okay. مثلهم كمثل الذي استوقد نارا فلما أضاءت ما حوله ذهب الله بنورهم وتركهم في ظلمات لا يبصرون صم بكم وعمي فهم لا يرجعون. So here Allah now is going to draw to us two parables, two examples. And this is a consistent theme in the Quran, and it's important to note that whenever Allah wants us to visualize or really understand the issue, He brings about examples or parables, so we can really grasp how severe the issue is. He said the example of them. Now we're going to talk about the munafiqeen, but this is the first category of munafiqeen. These are the worst of munafiqeen, like Abdullah ibn Salul and likewise. So mathaluhum, the worst type or the complete munafiq, you can say. So if you're making notes, you can say this verse number 17 and 18 is talking about the complete hypocrites. Al-munafiq al-khalis. Mathaluhum kamathali alladhi istawqada nara. The example of these people is like the one istawqada nara, he set up a fire. فَلَمَّا أَضَاءَتْ, and when the fire was lit and there is light, أَضَاءَتْ مَا حَوْلَهُ, that this light now gives you some kind of guidance. You turn the light on, now you can see in the dark, you can see where to go, you know how to move forward. ذَهَبَ اللَّهُ بِنُورِهِمْ وَتَرَكَهُمْ فِي ظُلُمَاتٍ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. When that light was lit, they decided not to take that light. So Allah تَرَكَهُمْ فِي ظُلُمَاتٍ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. Allah took away that light. Okay? Allah took away that light, لا يبصرون, and they cannot see whatsoever. So they have no light. If they have no light, metaphorically speaking, they have no guidance, which means, do they have iman or they don't have iman? No iman, because your iman is nur, is light. Allah took that light away from them, so they have no light. So this is the munafiq al-khalis. Then Allah says, because they have no light, they are summun. And what does summun mean? Yeah, they can't hear. Yeah, and then bukmun, yeah, someone who can't speak. Summun, bukmun, umyun, blind. Okay, so these people, subhanAllah, they think they believe. They say they believe, but in reality they are disbelievers, and their eyes are blind, their ears are closed, and they can't even speak. Okay, this is the first example of the complete munafiq. The second example, now if you move, this is where the mufassirun, they say this is a, I don't know if the correct word is partial munafiq or a hesitant munafiq, so not a complete munafiq. Okay, like this is referring to like those who believed when they were told for jihad and sadaqah and these things, they started to waver. Oh, do we have to do that as well? Or the Jews who believe, the common Jew who believed, but then the rabbis told them not to follow the Prophet. It's referring to those category of people. So in this category, Allah SWT said, كَصَيِّبٍ أو كَصَيِّبٍ ظُلُمَاتٌ رَعْدٌ. So أو كصيب من السماء فيه ظلمات ورعد وبرق يجعلون أصابعهم في آذانهم من الصواعق حذر الموت والله محيط بالكافرين. So this word, أو is saying, or they are like, the ka means like, or they are like صيب, and Ibn Mas'ud and Ibn Abbas, they said the صيب is referring to the rain. Okay, they are like the rain. They are like the rain that comes from the sama, comes from the sky. فيه ظلمات, in it is darkness, and this darkness is metaphorical for doubts, for disbelief, for hypocrisy. And on a side note as well, if you can make a note here, that al-dhulm is of three types. Okay, just like a side note somewhere, make a star a side note. Al-dhulm, because here it says here, dhulumat, that dhulm, oppression or wrongdoing, is of three types. Number one, the ultimate form of dhulm is ash-shirku billah. Because Allah says, inna shirka la dhulmun azim. It is the greatest of dhulm. To worship other than Allah is the greatest of dhulm. And if a person doesn't make tawbah from this, he will not be forgiven in the hereafter. So this is the greatest of crimes. The second type of dhulm is dhulmul insan li nafsihi bil ma'asi. The second type of dhulm is when a person, he commits sins, he is doing dhulm to himself. Because every sin you do is taking you lower and lower. You are oppressing yourself by committing those sins. Okay? So by default, the less sins you do, the less you are oppressing yourself, and the more freer and closer you are to Allah. And the third and final part is dhulmul insan li ghayrihi, that you do oppression to other people. Okay, you do oppression to other people. These are the three types of dhulm. So, for example, a leader of a state, if he's oppressing his people, this is the third category. Okay, where he is oppressing his people, where his people, they have no food or water to eat or to drink, but yet he can jump in a helicopter and have kebabs and samosas from a place where he likes to enjoy life. Okay, so, or people whose half the nation is in prisons, and they live in luxurious palaces just to maintain their position. So dhulmul insan li ghayri, when you do oppression on other people. But that's on a political side. Also, just generally, like murder, if somebody kills someone, this is dhulm to another person. Or, for example, another one, a classic one, is ummal. If you have employees, people working for you, and you know their wage is due at the end of the month, and you don't pay them at the end of the month, that's a dhulm. Okay, that's a dhulm. Allah is going to ask you about that. Okay, so any kind of wrongdoing to other people is a form of dhulm, and all of them we should abstain from. Okay, so أَوْ كَصَيِّبٍ مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ فِيهِ ظُلُمَاتٌ وَرَعْدٌ. So Allah says they are like a cloud which is coming from the sky, and this cloud فِيهِ ظُلُمَات, there is some darkness in this, and this darkness is metaphorical for doubts or disbelief or even hypocrisy. And then Allah says وَرَعْدٌ, and the ra'd is referring to the noise that comes from the clouds, the thunder. Yeah, the thunder. Okay, and this is referring to the fear of these munafiqeen, of anxiety, that noise. Wal barqu wa ra'du wa barq, and the barq is the actual daw, the actual light. Okay, and here the light is metaphorical for the light of faith, the iman. يَجْعَلُونَ أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي آذَانِهِمْ مِنَ الصَّوَاقِ حَذْرَ الْمَوْتِ. That when they hear the cloud, when it's making this lightning, okay, you can see the thunder, you can hear it, you can feel it. When they see this lightning, their example is they put their fingers in their ears. Why do they put their fingers in their ears? They don't want to hear it, and they think if they don't hear it, then it doesn't exist. If you put your finger in your ear, then there's no lightning. Yeah, like a child. When you're playing with them, like hide and seek or something, they just put their hands over their eyes and think you can't see them. Okay, so if they put في آذانهم, in the ears, يجعلون أصابعهم في آذانهم من الصواعق حذر الموت. They put their fingers inside their ears, من الصواعق, the noise, حذر الموت, because they fear death. They don't want the lightning to strike. Okay, The same thing, when they're given the message of Islam, these munafiqun, they don't want to listen. So when they hear the Quran, when they hear Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what do they put in the ears? Fingers. Okay, hadr al-maut, out of fear they're going to get exposed. Yeah, out of fear they're going to get exposed. Wallahu muhitun bil kafirin. And Allah says He knows everything. Muhit means He knows everything that is going around, whether you put your fingers in your ears or not. It doesn't make a difference. Okay. What's also interesting here is a bit of balagha. يَجْعَلُونَ أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي أَذَانِهِمْ. Where's your adhan, your ear? That's your ear, right? Where's the usbu' or asabi'? Your finger. Allah says they put their finger in the ear. Can you put your finger in your ear?
No.
How much of your finger goes in your ear? Just the tip. Just the tip. So Allah could have said that, I think the word is anamil, I forgot the word, but Allah could have said they put their fingertips in their ear. But He didn't. He said, يَجَعَلُونَ أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي أَذَانِهِمْ. It means if they could put the whole finger in, they would put the whole finger in.
But they were really scared.
They're real munafiq. They don't want to hear anything. Okay, if they could cover their heads with their jackets and their cloaks and walk around like this, they would do it. So it's not light hypocrisy, it's a real nifaq and real hypocrisy. And I remember once when I was in Egypt, sorry Ahmed, when I was in Egypt, I was walking, it was adhan time, and the adhan was going, I was walking towards the masjid. I don't know if this guy was a Muslim or, because there's Christian Coptics there as well. But when the adhan started, I literally saw him, and I saw him take his fingers and put them in his ears. Because the adhan in his ears, and he started walking really fast. He got really angry and started walking really fast. And it reminded me of this ayah. يَجَعَلُونَ أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي أَذَانِهِمْ. We didn't want to hear the adhan. It's annoying him. Okay? So, أو كصيب من السماء فيه ظلمات ورعد وبرق يجعلون أصابعهم في آذان من الصواعق حذر الموت والله محيط بالكافرين. That irrespective, Allah is all aware of what they are doing. يكاد البرق يخطف أبصارهم. That they fear, or the barq, the lightning, is almost, yakad means almost, يخطف is going to snatch away أبصارهم, is going to take away the light. Okay, what do you think this is referring to? So the barq, the light, is referring to what? What is nur? What is light? Guidance, or Quran. Okay, message of the Prophet ﷺ. This light is going to snatch away أبصارهم, the sight. Yeah, the luxuries. Or the Mufassirun, they refer to say that this light is going to expose the nifaq. Okay, they say that يكاد البرق يخطف أبصارهم, that their hypocrisy is going to be revealed, and they're scared. That they know the munafiq, they know, so they're like, we're going to get exposed. كلما أضاء لهم مشوا فيه. And whenever that bit of light came, they walked with that light. So whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him some message, the Prophet ﷺ gave him some guidance, they took that guidance, they used it to their benefit. كلما أضاء لهم مشوا فيه. They used it to their benefit and then they left it. Okay, so they took advantage of the light and then they left it. They took advantage of the light and they left it. Okay. كلما أضاء لهم مشوا فيه وإذا أظلم عليهم قاموا. So we said that whenever they have a bit of light, they walk therein, and whenever إذا أظلم, and when there's darkness that covers them, عليهم قاموا, they stand still. They don't know what to do. So literally speaking, it's like if you're in a dark room and you've got a light, like a torch, you continue using your torch. When the battery goes, then you stop. قاموا, you stand still. You don't know where to go. Yeah. The same thing with these munafiqun. Whenever they use light, guidance, Quran, Prophet ﷺ, they would be able to walk with their life, move forward. But as soon as they leave it or let go of it, qamu, they don't know what to do. They're standing still again. Okay. In the Tafseer, Hasan al-Basri, he makes mention of, in this ayah, he says that Yawm al-Qiyamah, everybody's going to have a nur, everybody's going to have a light. And your light is dependent upon your iman, how strong your faith, your iman is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they make mention that when a person will cross the sirat, which we discussed before, the sirat which is as thin as a hair, as sharp as a blade, and on either side of this bridge there are sharp objects that if you fall you will get hurt, you will get cut up. On the other side of the bridge there is Jannah, and at the bottom of it is the fire of hell. And the three groups of people that will cross this bridge, the believers, let's start with the disbelievers. They will try to cross this bridge and they will fall and they will end up in the hellfire. Then those who, believers, yet they had lots of sins, they will get across the bridge but they will struggle. They will fall left and right, they will get hurt, they will feel the heat of the fire, but eventually they'll get there. The believer will just fly across, like they say, like the speed of light. He wouldn't even know he crossed the bridge. And here the Mufassirun, they say وَإِذَا كُلَّمَا أَضَاءَ لَهُمْ مَشَوْا فِيهِ وَإِذَا أَظْلَمَ عَلَيْهِمْ قَامُوا, that this light is also referring to that day. We will stand when we cross the bridge, all of us have a light, okay? And our light will either get us across the bridge, or if our light is weak, when your battery is low on your phone, you go into power saving mode, you can just about see what's on your screen, then you might not cross that bridge. You might fall. Yeah, you might fall in the pits of hell, may Allah protect us from that. Or you might fall and get hurt and then get back up again and hurt, get back up again. So you know how you like to keep your phone batteries on 100%? Keep your iman as well at 100%. That way you'll get to the other side. Yeah. So Hassan al-Basri makes mention of that in his Tafseer. Okay. What ayah was that? That was 20. What's the next ayah? وَلَوْ شَاءَ Yeah, وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَذَهَبَ بِسَمْعِهِمْ وَأَبْصَارِهِمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Yeah? So then Allah, He responds and says, لَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ, if Allah wanted, لَذَهَبَ, that He would definitely have gone بِسَمْعِهِمْ وَأَبْصَارِهِمْ, that He would have removed their hearing and their listening. But here, who can try to guess why? Previously we said that they're summun bukmun umyun. They lost their sight, they lost their hearing, they lost their speaking, and now Allah is saying if Allah wanted, He would remove their listening and their hearing again. Why is it being repeated? And is there a difference in the meaning in the two verses?
It's like a basar or basira.
What's the meaning?
Meaning that you might have your sight, but you don't really see much.
Very good. Okay. So the first ayah was referring to the metaphorical meaning, okay, of not being able to see guidance, not being able to hear guidance, not being able to say good things. But in this verse, now it's more literal. That Allah will say He will actually take away your hearing and will physically take away your ability to see. So the first one was metaphorical, whereas this one is more literal. And then the ayah concludes, إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who can do whatever He wants, whenever He wants, to whoever He wants. Okay. Alright, I think we will stop there. Okay, and we will continue from verse number 21. Okay, the topic in the next few verses is very different. So this concludes very nicely with all the descriptions of the munafiqeen. Okay, so next week we will have a new topic. Before we move on to that, just very quickly, so that I know you've understood the lessons from last week and this week. The first 4 ayat were talking about the believers, right? Tell me one characteristic of the believers. So you can look in your notes if you want to look in your notes. You can look at the ayat if you want to look at the ayat. Okay? The first characteristic of the believers. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Yeah, al-ghayb. They believe in the unseen. Yeah, so all of us want to be believers. This is why I'm saying it. So we need to strengthen our belief in the unseen. How do we strengthen our belief in the unseen? Of course, by reading the Quran. But at the same time, we need to listen to more lectures, talk about paradise, talk about hell, talk about what's going to happen in the grave. Also, if you can, visit the graveyards. Okay, make it a habit. Go there once a month or whatever, however convenient it is. Look at the reality of the unseen. Yeah, increase that in the ghaib. What's the second thing that the believers are? Yeah, aqimus salah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the establishing of the prayer. We said before as well, the establishment. Allah didn't say يَفْعَلُونَ as-salah. Not we just like crows, peck up and down. We understand what we're reading. We do our wudu properly. We learn what we're reading. We think about what's happening, and we're conscious throughout the whole prayer. Okay, we're not thinking about what to do. We're not thinking about what the wife wants us to buy at the grocery store. No, we are conscious of the prayer. And then so it has zakat that they give, not just the general sadaqah, but also they give the annual zakat. Okay, And a side point on the zakat, many of us, we don't understand zakat. Okay, I've given this lecture many times on zakat. Most of us, we just at the end of the year, when it comes to Ramadan, put our hands in a pocket, say, oh, £200, I'll give that as zakat. No, zakat requires a calculator. So you need to calculate your zakat properly. Then the next characteristic, what is it? Yeah, very good. Okay, so believe in the akhirah, that they believe in Allah and they believe in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Was there one more? Good. وَمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ, referring what was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the Quran, and like the auntie said, the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That was it, right? مِن قَبْلِكُمْ, and to believe in the books that came before. Yeah, and sorry sister, what did you say? And the hereafter. Okay, so we believe in the hereafter, which is part of the ghaib, yeah? What was it? I didn't understand. Oh yeah, your good and bad deeds. Okay, so your good and bad deeds, good. And then they came to two ayat which were talking about the disbelievers. In the disbelievers, what was the common trait amongst the disbelievers? Sorry? They doubt. Okay, was that doubt? So he said, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفْرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَنذَرْتُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. So the first thing is the believers, whether you tell them or don't tell them, it don't make a difference. Okay, they're firm disbelievers. And the second thing, خَتَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ, that their hearts are closed. Okay, so those are two. Now from amongst the munafiqeen, who can tell me some of the descriptions of the disbelievers? We took them today, so, and we took some last week as well. Who wants to tell me the first one? They break the promise. That's from the hadith. Yeah, ayatul munafiq thalath, or in one hadith arba, that if they make a promise they break it. Yeah.
What did he was saying that believers?
They keep saying they're believers. Yeah, they keep trying to tell people they're believers. There's no need to tell us. Yeah, or tell the believers.
Lie.
They lie. Yeah, whenever they speak, they lie. Yeah.
إذا حدث كذب وإذا وعد أخلف.
And if he makes a promise, he breaks his promise.
وإذا اؤتمن خان.
And if he was given something to trust, look after this money, they betray their trusts. Okay, they betray the trust. That was all from the hadith. But what about the ayat? Anything else from the ayat?
When they get angry.
Sorry, 1 second.
They don't believe in the Prophet. They won't say that we believe.
Yeah, they have a big hatred towards the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, they difficult, and that today the Prophet ﷺ has passed away, but he is still alive. In what sense? I wasn't talking like it's a weird mystic sense. In what sense? The Sunnah is there. It's alive. You have all of his statements or most of his statements there. You can read it, revive it, live it. Don't hate the Sunnah. Follow the Sunnah. Yeah. Someone else? What else?
وإذا لقوا الذين آمنوا قالوا آمنا. That's from the Surah Baqarah.
Very good. So when the munafiq is with the believers, he's talking about religious topics. And then when he's gone and he's sitting with his friends, he's talking about how good Friday night was. Yeah, he's two-faced. And there's one hadith which I found, the Prophet said the worst of people, he said, أَشَرُّ النَّاسِ, he said, ذُو وَجْهَيْنِ, that the worst of people are those who got two faces. Two-faced people. They don't do what they say. Okay, two-faced people. What else? Yeah, it is.
Maybe the actions contradict what they say.
Good, opposite. So they say that we're doing good, islah, but then they're actually doing fasad. So the actions are contradictory. Okay. Another thing we can elaborate on that is the fact that they think they're fixing the problems of this earth. Yeah. So when people or nations, they say we're going to bring you democracy, they think they're fixing the world's problems, but the million or 10 million or whatever people they destroyed and the civilizations they annihilated, they think that's part of Islah. They say we're fixing you. You need our freedoms and our way of life. We are muslihun, but wallahi they are mufsidun. Anything else?
They blind towards guidance, metaphorically and literally.
Good, yeah. They blind towards guidance initially, and then if they persist in that, then also physically. Very good. Yeah, they had guidance at one time, but they sold it. Yeah, and they took misguidance instead. Yeah, we hear people say the person sold his iman, for a packet of peanuts. He sold his faith just so he can get a particular wage or work for a particular body or a government, but he sold out. Yeah, we know that sellouts. You sold your deen for a bit of worldly benefit. All right, that's good. So let's conclude here. If we've got questions, we can take some. Yeah, you got one more there? Yeah?
Does it make our iman stronger
Well, if we have been given a list for shopping from the ladies and we might practice on that.
Okay, so the first question is referring to if your wife asks you to buy something, and if you buy it, does that make your iman stronger? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes your iman in your wife very strong. Okay, any other questions? That was just like an icebreaker question. Yeah.
You mentioned 3 types of dhulm.
Yeah.
Second one with nafsi.
Yeah.
What's some examples of that?
Dhulm that a person can do to himself are sins. Okay, so for example, not praying on time. Yeah, if you're not praying on time, you can start to slowly become lazy, and you might start missing prayers. Okay, dhulm upon a person, fasting. Yeah, you're supposed to fast. You're not fasting. Dhulm on another person. The Prophet ﷺ, he made dua. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-jubni wal kasal. He said, Allah protect me from being cowardice. Yeah. This is the Prophet's dua. He said, Allah protect us from being cowards. Yeah? And I say this all the time, especially when I'm lecturing men. Yeah? That we need to stop being cowards. This is our deen. We have to teach it. We have to propagate it. We have to use hikmah. We have to be intelligent how we do it, but we have to do it. Those, like we said, they embraced Islam and they lived the cushy lifestyle, but they got the Islam. That's part of Islam. There's another part of it that we avoid. Other aspects. Any kind of sin that has an impact on your heart. Okay, so even matters related to diseases of the heart. Okay, so like greed, envy, jealousy. When you start indulging in these things, they start to affect your heart. So you're doing dhulm to your heart. Yeah.
Just elaborate on this ayah. Because you did not.
Or the la yarji'un. Okay, so someone that they are unable to hear, speak, or see, فَهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ, and they will not return. Yeah, so the spiritual ability to see and to speak and to hear will not be given back to them. They will remain in dhulumats. Okay, they will be upon misguidance. Okay. Any other questions?
Can Iraq war can be one of the example of
Yeah, so the aunt is asking, the Iraq war, would that be something we could say is from the actions of the munafiqeen? Okay, that's clearly an action of the kuffar. Yeah, because they're not munafiq, they don't claim to believe. Yeah, that's a clear action of the kuffar. But you might find Muslims or people who claim to be Muslims supporting such an action. Yeah. They may justify in whatever way they can. That's, in my perspective, this is not from the Tafseer books, this is my perspective, that's nothing more than nifaq. Yeah? If not nifaq al-akbar, taking you outside the fold of Islam. Because the Prophet also said, the one who aligns himself with those who are bringing destruction to the believers is from amongst them. Yeah? Whether it applies here or not, Allah knows best, but I'm just saying to you, my perspective or my understanding is that those who align themselves with that, they are nothing but pure munafiq. Okay, so for example, even if you're looking at the situation of Palestine and Israel, those find, subhanAllah, nowadays we're finding some of so-called Muslims coming out and defending what's happening. Like they don't even defend the Palestinians, and they will speak and say this is justified and blah blah. They'll defend what's happening, which is pure nifaq. There can be no clearer nifaq than that. Yeah, question, yeah.
My question is, kindly take my questions a bit seriously.
Okay.
And my question is, Azhary bin Abdullah was the leader of the Khazraj.
Yeah.
That was the biggest tribe in Medina. My question is, does nifaq among those people who are from Khazraj was due to their tribal superiority?
Yeah, we made mention of that. The fact that the nifaq came about because of the social differences, the class differences. The fact that they were from amongst the elite, and now they've been asked to sit with the poor people, the paupers, the common folk coming from the muhajirun, and they didn't like that, and they were very uncomfortable with that, and that's what brought about some kind of hypocrisy in their hearts. I'm not talking about any particular person, but in general, that was the theme of the munafiqun. they were displeased with the social status of them accepting Islam. Yeah? Any other questions? Is that a question? Yeah.
Shirk. What comprises shirk?
Okay, good question. What comprises of shirk? Shirk is a big topic in of itself, but just keeping it brief. Number one, the main form of shirk, which is constantly shirk al-akbar, is worshipping other than Allah, to associate partners with other than Allah. And this shirk can come in different forms. The most obvious is bowing down to an idol, for example. That's the most obvious. But there are other ways in which people might not be aware. For example, making dua. The Prophet said, dua ibadah, that making dua is a form of worship. So if you make dua to other than Allah, that's shirk. If you make dua to somebody in the grave, that's shirk. Yeah. So any dua going to other than Allah is also a form of shirk. Yeah. So anything which necessitates that it should be purely for Allah, but you put a middleman in there, this is what is considered to be shirk in all acts and forms. There is shirk al-asghar as well, but that's a different topic. Shirk al-asghar, the smaller shirk, which doesn't take someone outside of Islam. This, the Prophet said, is showing off. Okay? Anybody can think of why showing off is considered to be shirk?
Too much self-importance.
Yeah, yeah. You direct all the attention to yourself. Yeah, you want all the praise to yourself when praise should be going to Allah. You want everyone to talk about you. You want to be the center of the discussion. Everything should be coming to you. Whereas sometimes that when it gets excessive showing off, it can be a form of shirk as well. Any other questions? No? Yeah.
But it is okay to ask people that we think are spiritual to make dua for us. That's not a middleman, is it?
Okay, so asking people who are alive for dua. As long as they're alive, you can ask them for dua. Okay, as long as somebody is alive, you can ask them for dua. The best is to make dua for yourself. But if you feel somebody is closer to Allah for whatever reason, there's no proof that we know somebody is closer to Allah. But if you feel that and you ask them to make dua, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as the person is alive. Okay, if he's gone, then his hisab is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, go.
Just on doubt, you said that hypocrisy. But I think sometimes it's quite, you start to doubt your own command and you're constantly questioning yourself, that am I doing it for the right reason?
Yeah.
Could you sort of help?
So that is not really doubt, that's just rectifying your intention. Yeah, like the doubt that's been referred to here is doubt in the core elements of the deen, in the belief in Allah, in the belief in the Prophet, the belief in the hereafter, which I think most people are, they're comfortable with. But sometimes you might have weakness in iman. Yeah, like you know you should pray but you don't pray, or you know you shouldn't say this but you say it. It's not that you don't do that because you don't believe in the consequences, but it's just at that moment in time you became lazy, or at that moment in time you just were in a state of weakness. But it's not to say that you disbelieve in that thing. So one way to counter that is to constantly be rectifying your intention. Yeah. So whatever you're doing, start with Bismillah or say your istighfar and just rectify intention. That way you'll be on the right path, hopefully. And the best cure to doubt is knowledge. Okay. You're not going to cure doubt unless you study and learn. Yeah. So for the youngsters in the room, I know it's summer holidays and all the rest of it, so a quick message for all of you, especially in Dhul Hijjah as well, because in these days you're closer to Allah, that I strongly urge all the youngsters, actually everyone, but in particular the youngsters, to really take their deen more seriously. Okay, that we need to be active Muslims, yeah, the youngsters especially, because the next generation are you guys. You guys are going to take this banner forward. So inshallah, when I'm gone, one of you are going to sit here and talk or open up another class somewhere else or do something. You're the ones who are going to lead the next generation, boys and girls. Yeah. So if you're waking up out of bed at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, which community are you going to lead? How are you going to help your people? Okay. If you're spending the whole day sleeping, if you're spending all your days watching Netflix, one series after another, another series after another series, what are you fixing? You're destroying your mind. Wallahi, you're destroying your brain. Allah has given you aql for a reason. Allah says so many times in the Quran, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. Do you not contemplate on the Quran? أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. Do you not understand? And one of the reasons to why things like drugs and alcohol is haram, it's not because Allah wants us to live a boring life. No, it's so you preserve your brain. is so that if you do drink and take drugs, it's going to mess up your head. You're not going to be able to think straight. So Allah wants you to use your mind, that you read books, that you ask questions. There's nothing wrong with Netflix, by the way. There is nothing wrong with watching a series or having some fun. There's nothing wrong with it. But the big thing comes down to what? Balance. And that's what's very difficult. As adults, we can't balance. So children, they will definitely not balance. And if there's no one there to try to sort out that balance, they will definitely live an imbalanced life. So we have to have fun, but at the same time, we have to also encourage the youngsters and ourselves to take the deen seriously as well. Reading of the Quran, praying on time, giving sadaqah, train your kids to give sadaqah. Okay, the Dhul Hijjah, talk to them. How many of our kids know the story of what's happening in these days? The story of Hajar, the story of Ismail, the story of Ibrahim. Have we taught our kids? No, we haven't. Yeah. So these are things that we need to do as well. I'm talking about all of us. We're in the same position. Any other questions before I conclude?
One other thing, as you said, that just for fun, we can, sometimes watch dramas and things. Is there any, we do our things like Amat and everything, but just for enjoyment. Is that?
Yeah, so it's a good point.
Some people just say that you shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. Then you think, oh, my.
No, some people who portray the deen as in something very rigid and very strict. There are times when it's rigid and strict, no doubt. But the Prophet ﷺ also used to laugh and joke. He said that when he would laugh, you would see his molar teeth. You would see the back of his teeth. He would laugh and joke. And he would play with Hassan and Hussein.
That's what was available at that time.
That was it. So Hassan and Hussein would jump on their backs, and while he's praying, he would play with them. He would kiss them. And we know the story when the Bedouin, he saw the Prophet ﷺ kissing his children, and he said, "How do you kiss your children? I have 10 children. I've never kissed one of them." And he turned around and he said, "That is it my fault that Allah has removed rahmah from your heart?" Okay, so playing with your kids, kissing them, hugging them, taking them out is something which is praiseworthy, and you can have fun. There's nothing. If you want to watch a drama, it's up to you. If you want to sit there, in all honesty, in the day and age that we're living in today, if you try to apply strict rules on your kids, let alone kids, even ourselves, we're going to rebel, and we'll rebel very easily. It's so easy to rebel, and if they rebel, it's difficult to get them back. So don't push them in that corner. Whereas be their friends. If they want to watch a series and you don't like it, just watch it. You just sit with them and just watch it. If they want to go out on the weekend, go out. Because if you don't go out with them, they'll find someone to go out with. I promise you. So you have to take a new approach to our kids.
Sorry, a question that came to my mind is when we are watching dramas. Now the latest trend in Pakistani dramas is you have to be very, very careful, especially if you have a religious mind. There's dramas coming like Kun Fayakun. The name is Kun Fayakun. It's the same thing they have given. But behind the scene, believe me, in Pakistani, in high society, all those who have the creative mind, they call it, and they just making all these dramas, they are pure shaitan. So what you have to do is, when you're watching those dramas, just don't become a fool because he's saying inna atayna or anything like that. Watch it and come to the conclusion what was his message.
So we will conclude on that, inshallah. That of course, I think we're sensible enough to understand that you've got to look into what they're watching as well. Well,
he's definitely watching.
He's Pakistani dramas. You exposed him on camera. Okay. All right. Anyway, in conclusion,
I only watch the Irani sometimes.
All right. We don't need to expose here. But in conclusion, let's finish here. And next week, Eid is going to fall on a Sunday, so there'll be no class on a Sunday. I don't think anyone's going to turn up. I won't be here. So no class next Sunday. The following Sunday, we'll continue. So 1 week break, and then we'll continue the week after. And finally, I'd just like to conclude, I say Eid Mubarak beforehand. Don't forget on the 9th of Arafah, everybody please fast. If you can fast, you get the rewards of 1 year of sins being removed, 1 year of sins. So 9th, everybody please fast. And finally, all of you who've turned up, I'd like to thank you again for turning up. Well, I'm speaking myself as a speaker, that it's not easy to come to Islamic lectures or to come to dars and things like that. We have to create that environment that we love listening. And especially the youngsters here, I can see many youngsters here have been listening to me talking for the last hour and a half. They deserve credit. Okay, so if you've got them with you, after the lesson, take them out, get them a milkshake or do something, that they make sure they come again next week. Okay? On that note. And this cake as well. Alright, now let's conclude. Barakallahu fikum, subhanakallah wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.